Have you ever looked at an area of your life and thought, I should be further ahead by now? Maybe it's your business. You have been showing up, you've been posting, you've been learning, you've been trying different strategies, but you still are not getting the clients, the sales, the growth you expected. Maybe it's your money. You are making a certain amount every month, but somehow you don't feel like you're getting ahead. You thought that by now you should have saved more money. You should have invested more money. You should have more security, more financial freedom. Or maybe there is something you've always wanted to change in your life for a very long time, or a particular skill you've been thinking of learning. You keep telling yourself you're going to do it, and yet month goes by, month after month, the months become years, and you're still standing in almost exactly the same place you started. Today, I want to talk about a question I think many ambitious women need to be asking. Why am I not getting better results? Because here is what I have learned. Most of the time, we think our problem is a lack of information. We need another strategy. We need to listen to another podcast. We need another course. We need another book. We need another expert. We need another guru. But for most of us, that's not the problem. You probably already know enough to create the life you want, to create different results for yourself. And so today, I want to delve into this question and help you understand why you're not getting better results. And I have a page full of notes. There are things I don't want to forget to tell you about. So if you see me referring to my notes, that's what I'm referring to. And the first thing I want you to realize is how much agency you have. Many people do not understand that they have so much agency in their lives to create the results that they want. And I know this because of the hundreds of conversations I have had with women. Many people think that the economy is the reason they are not creating the life that they want. Many people think it is their uncle or their bosses. So for today, I want you to realize that so much is in your control. And actually, yesterday I was hosting a live workshop, and one of the ladies asked me a question. And I said to her, do you realize how much God has blessed you with as a creator? That you get to create the life that you truly desire. So the first step I want you to understand is that you have agency to change the results you're getting in your life. And that is good news, that your result doesn't necessarily have to be determined by who is sitting in the White House. That your result doesn't have to be determined by circumstances around you, that you have agency to change your results. Number two, I want you to understand that the way you show up in your life will determine the results you get. And the reason I say this is because there's a difference between showing up with certainty and conviction compared to how most people show up. So I want you to do a deep dive and ask yourself, how are you showing up in the world to create the results that you want? Are you showing up with certainty and conviction? Because that certainty and conviction is exactly what you need to create the life of abundance, of success, of next level that you truly, truly desire. And one thing I want you to understand also is that there is a difference between passive failure and active failure. And what do I mean by that? When people come to me and they say, I'm not getting the results I want, the first thing I ask them to tell me is, what actions have they been taking? Because here's the thing, you can fail when you do nothing. There's a difference between that kind of failure when you do nothing compared to failing when you take action. Okay, so failing when you take action is what I call active failure, and failing when you do nothing is what I call passive failure. So if you fold your arms and do nothing and you fail, that's not the good kind of failure. The good kind of failure I encourage people to strive for is the failure as a result of taking action, active failure. And the reason I say that is because when you engage in active failure, you have data. You have data of something that didn't work. And that data is so, so important because then we know what you've tried. All right. So I want you to understand the difference between passive failure and active failure. Also, I want you to understand that there is a difference between playing to win and playing to fail. So if you're not getting the results you truly want, I want you to be very honest with yourself. Are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? Because there is a huge difference. Okay. Now, when I was writing this in my note about difference between playing to win and playing not to lose, I started thinking about the World Cup. You know, the World Cup that just happened over the summer? Some of those teams, right? I'm not going to name names, okay? Some of those countries, when you see them play on the field, you could tell that they were playing not to lose. All right. There is a difference between those teams and the teams that were playing to win. Okay. So I want you to ask yourself when it comes to your life and getting to the next level result that you know you deserve, are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? How do I know you deserve it? The reason I know is because you have that desire. The reason I know that your next level life is possible for you is the fact that that desire exists inside of you in the first place. Because if it wasn't possible, that next level life, if it wasn't possible for you, that desire wouldn't exist, right? So that desire you have tells me that that life you want is absolutely possible for you. Okay, so those are some of the things I want you to start paying attention to. Lastly, on this point, I want you to know that if you are not creating the results you want, one of the reasons could be misalignment. Misalignment with that future version of yourself. Misalignment with the life of success you want to create. So I want you to ask yourself, are you aligned with that future? When I say aligned, I'm talking about your energy and your frequency. And the reason this is so important is because person A can be taking the same action as person B, and they'll get two different results. Why? Because of energy, frequency, and alignment. When you see someone taking action from a place of conviction, joy, excitement, expectation, I love that. Expectation. Expectation in knowing that what you desire already is. Gosh, I feel like I'm preaching today. Expectation and knowing that what you desire already exists. And this comes to what I always talk about on this show, which is believing without evidence, believing before there is evidence. And I love how the Bible describes the meaning of faith, that faith is the evidence of things not seen. And this is so crucial because as women, when we want to create our next level life, the actions we are taking need to be taken from the place of conviction. And this goes against the natural human nature because the natural human nature only wants to believe what it can see, right? So as humans, naturally, we want to believe what we can see, what we can feel, what we can smell, our five senses. But in order to create a life you've never had, you have to believe in that life you've never had. You have to believe with conviction as if that life already exists. Because when you take action as though the thing you desire already exists, guess what? You bring it into physical manifestation. That's how everything we have in this life, that's how it's been created. Look at the light bulb, the aeroplane, the motor car, all of these things never existed. The microwave. Somebody sat down and believed so much in the possibility that they kept doing the thing. They kept trying. And for all of these inventions we enjoy today, they never existed. But the people who tried, they didn't get it the first time. I challenge you to go find me an invention that we enjoy today that the person who invented got right the first time. No. In fact, we know from history that Thomas Edison, when he was creating the light bulb, in fact, history tells us he failed 10,000 times. So imagine what kept him going when he failed number one, number 100, number 1,000, number 2,000. When he failed all of those times, what kept him going? I'm going to tell you what kept him going. What kept him going was the belief that it is possible to have electricity. That was what kept him going. So I want to ask you, for the next level life you want to create, are you showing up with conviction, knowing that success is inevitable? Because if you do, I want to tell you, you're going to create success. Okay, so that's the bedrock I want to start with. And I want you to understand that the results you currently have are giving you information. One of the most powerful things you can do is stop judging your results and start studying them. This is something I do so intentionally. I document my results. I document my results because it gives me data. It's information, it's feedback. If you're not getting enough clients, that's information. If your business isn't profitable, that's information. If you're earning good money, but you're not building wealth, that's information. If you keep saying you want something, but you aren't making progress towards that thing, that's information. And I want to be very, very clear about something. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about becoming curious. In fact, research shows that when we beat ourselves up, we are less likely to achieve that thing. Okay, so beating yourself up is not the way to go. It's about becoming curious. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? I want you to ask, what is this creating? What is creating this result? The result I have right now, how am I creating this result? Because every result has a cause. And if you understand what is creating your current result, you can begin changing it. I want to give you a very simple framework. I want you to think about it this way. Thoughts become decisions, and then our decisions drives our actions, and then our actions create our results. What you believe influences the decisions you make, drives your results. Your decisions influences the actions you take, and the actions you repeat over and over creates the results you have. We often try to change the last part of the equation without looking at everything else. We say things like, I need more clients. I need to make more money. I need to save more. I need to be more visible. I need to finally launch this program. But before the results become action, you have to think about the equation. The thoughts become the decision you take. And the decision drives the action, and then the action determines the results. And underneath every decision we make is often a belief. That's why two women can have access to the same information and create completely different results. One takes action, the other hesitates. One makes the offer, the other keeps tweaking their website. One person follows up, the other worries that she's going to look desperate. One raises her prices, the other one tells herself people won't pay that much. One starts building wealth, the other says things like she'll deal with her finances when she makes more money. Same information, very different decisions, very different actions, very different results. Okay, so let's talk about the reasons why you're not getting better results right now. Reason number one is you are confusing learning with doing. I cannot tell you the number of women who come into my space, and when we look at what they are creating in their business, they've been learning, buying more courses, doing more programs. And when I ask them, what are you actually doing to create your next level life? Nothing. So please, I want you to do not confuse learning with doing. Ambitious women love to learn. I love to learn. Like if you see the number of books I have, so many books. If you see how many courses I have bought, how many programs, it is wonderful to learn. The podcast I listen to, so good. But learning can also become one of the most sophisticated forms of procrastination. When you spend 6 months learning how to market your business without consistently asking someone to buy from you, what's the point? You spend 6 months learning, but you never take the action to make offers. You can spend a whole year learning about money without actually changing anything about your paycheck. You just keep learning. Podcasts, books. You can listen to 50 podcasts about confidence without doing the one uncomfortable thing that would ultimately build your confidence. At some point, learning has to become implementation because knowledge doesn't change your life. Applied knowledge does. So I want you to ask, what do I currently do that isn't getting me consistent results? Maybe it's learning. What do I already know that I am not consistently doing? So if you've been listening to hundreds of podcasts on confidence, for example, I want you to ask yourself, am I actually doing the thing that will get me more confident? That question alone can change a lot. Maybe you already know you need to follow up with potential clients. Maybe you know you need to make more offers. Maybe you know you need to look at your numbers every week. You know you need to automate your savings. You know you need to have conversations that you've been avoiding. You know exactly what your next move is. You just haven't made it yet. I don't think you need another course or another certification. I think you need to act on all the knowledge you already have. Okay. Now, reason number 2 why you're not getting the results you desire is that you are not taking consistent action. We dramatically underestimate the power of consistency. People often do something for a few weeks and decide it's not working. They post for 3 weeks and say, it's not working. They make 5 sales calls and they say, oh, it's not working. They save money for 1 month and they say, oh, I'm not good at saving. And so consistency, I believe, is what will accelerate your result. And when I talk about consistency, I cannot tell you the number of people who have hired me as their coach because of my consistency. They tell me, oh my gosh, you are so consistent. This podcast is now in year number 3. So this is our 3rd year, and I haven't missed one single week of publishing an episode. That's consistency. So I want to ask you, if you want to build your next level life, I want you to take an inventory of the actions you're taking. Are your actions commensurate with your desires? Right. I know you already know about consistency, but are you putting it into practice? Reason number 3 is you're avoiding the action most likely to get you the results. This is what I call procrastination or perfectionism. You meet people who say, oh, I just want my website to be perfect first. I want my website to be ready first before I make an offer. That is being trying to be perfect. In fact, I always say C+. I want you to aim for C+, because right now, trying to be perfect is costing you success. If you're an entrepreneur, you might be spending hours creating content while avoiding making direct offers. You might redesign your website all over again. You might be creating Canva content, designing things on Canva, and you do all of those things, but you avoid the one thing that will get you clients, which is making offers. So I want you to ask yourself, what action am I avoiding because it makes me uncomfortable? Your answer may point directly towards your next level. Reason number 4 is that you are waiting to feel confident. This is one of the biggest myths I see. We think when I feel confident, I will do it. When I feel ready, I will launch the offer. When I feel certain, I will invest. When I stop being afraid, I will speak up. But confidence usually doesn't come first. Action does. Action comes first, then confidence follows. Confidence grows because you've proven to yourself that you can handle what happens. Think about almost anything you're confident at doing today. You probably weren't confident at the beginning. Let's take driving a car, for example. When you were learning to drive a car, I bet all of your five senses were involved. Right? You had to be mindful when the brakes are, the gear, all of the buttons in your car. But as you kept trying and trying and trying through repetition, you can almost drive now with your eyes closed, right? So the confidence didn't come at the beginning. It came from taking action all over again, repeating those actions, through surviving through mistakes and discovering, oh, I can actually handle this. So if you've been waiting for confidence before you take action, I want you to flip the equation. Don't ask yourself, how do I become confident enough to do this? I want you to ask yourself, what would I do today if I were willing to do it without confidence? Reason number 5 is you're trying to change the result without changing yourself. Now, this is deeper work because sometimes the results you want requires more than a new strategy. It requires a new standard. It requires a new identity, a different way of making decisions. You cannot create your next level life while insisting on staying exactly where you've always been. The woman running a multi-million-dollar business may have to make different decisions than the woman running a 100K business. The woman building significant wealth may have to develop different habits than the woman who spends everything she earns. The woman who wants more freedom may have to stop saying yes to everything. The woman who wants a bigger life may have to become willing to be misunderstood. And this is why I talk so much about becoming your next level self, because your next level self isn't some perfect future version of you. She is you, but with different standards. She makes decisions based on where she's going instead of where she's been. She doesn't need everyone to understand. She doesn't need everyone's approval. She doesn't wait until fear disappears. She doesn't wait until she's confident. She doesn't wait until she has all her ducks in a row. She doesn't negotiate with herself every time something becomes uncomfortable. She asks, what does the woman who has what I want do next? So here's my question to you. If your goal is to create $20,000 in your business every month, if that's your goal, I want you to ask yourself, what would a woman who makes $20,000 every month, what will she do next? Then I want you to practice becoming her. So let's do a next level audit. Let's do a quick audit. I want you to choose one result you want to improve. Just one result, not 10, just one. Maybe it is, I want 5 new clients. I want to increase my monthly income. I want to save $100,000. I want to launch my business. I want to finally deal with my finances. I want to apply for the promotion at work. I want to create more time for myself. I want you to choose one for you. What's that next level result you want to create for yourself? Your next level result. Now, once you've chosen it, I want you to ask yourself these 5 questions. What results am I currently getting? And for this one, I want you to be factual, no judgment. I want you to write down the results you're currently creating in that area of your life. And then the next question is, what actions are currently creating the results you have? Look at what you're currently doing, what you're actually doing, not what you intend to do, but what you're actually doing. And then question number 3, what do I already know I should be doing that I am not doing consistently? This is often where the answer lies. Question 4, what am I avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? I can bet my bottom dollar that there is something you've been avoiding that feels uncomfortable, and it is that thing that will get you to your next level results. Maybe it is making more offers. Maybe it is following up. Maybe it is looking at your numbers. Hello? This is what many people struggle with when they come into my world the first time for wealth coaching, and I ask them to look at their numbers. This is something they haven't done for years. So what are you avoiding? Are you avoiding looking at your numbers? Are you avoiding having the conversation? Are you avoiding making the decision? Are you avoiding being visible? Are you avoiding asking for help? You know the uncomfortable thing that you have been avoiding. And question number 5, I want you to ask yourself, what would my next level self do instead? Not someday, not when she feels ready, not when she feels confident, not when she feels like she doesn't doubt herself. No. What would your next level self do next? What's the next decision, the next conversation, the next offer, the next action? And then I want you to do that thing. Stop asking for different results when you keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. There comes a point where we have to stop asking and saying, I want more, and start asking, what am I willing to do differently to create more? Because wanting a different result while repeating the same decisions over and over is exhausting. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. And that's why I said, just choose one thing, the one thing you absolutely desire, not everything in your life, just the one thing. I'm not expecting you to suddenly become fearless. I'm not expecting you to suddenly become confident. I don't want you to wait until you have every step figured out. But you do need to interrupt the pattern that's creating the results you currently have, the results you really don't want. One different decision, one courageous conversation, one offer, one application, 1 hour spent doing the thing you've been avoiding instead of preparing, enough learning, enough podcasts, enough books, enough courses, enough programs. And when you do that, you're definitely going to change your results. So here's your challenge this week. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to choose one area of your life where you want better results. I want you to write down the results you're currently getting, then write down the results you actually want. And now I want you to finish this sentence. If I'm completely honest with myself, the thing I already know I need to be doing differently is, write it down. I don't want you to overthink this. You probably already know the answer. And once you have it, I want you to choose one action you can take in the next 24 hours, not next month, not next week, today, within the next 24 hours, because your next level self isn't creating from knowing more. It is creating from the moments you decide to do something differently. If this episode hits home for you, I want you to remember this, that your current results are not your ceiling. They are simply evidence of the thoughts, the habits, the actions, and the patterns that have gotten you to where you are at this point. And those can be changed. You can make a different decision. You can take different actions. You can raise your standards. You can become more consistent, and you can stop waiting to feel ready. That's what becoming a next level woman is all about. Your next level doesn't begin from your circumstances changing. It begins when you do, when you change internally. If you enjoyed today's episode, I want you to follow Next Level Women, like this video, subscribe, comment. That's how we get this YouTube channel in front of more people. And if you're listening on Apple Podcast, please rate and leave me a review. It goes a very long way in getting this show in front of more people. If you're ready for your next level self, if you're tired of trying over and over again, I invite you to come check out the Next Level Women monthly membership. This is where a group of women inspire each other to their next level. This is where you build with a community instead of building alone. This is where you learn how to elevate your mindset so that you create different results. The link to that will be in the show notes, and I look forward to welcoming you into our monthly membership. See you next time.